Welcome. I'm glad you're here to join me. Then before I begin talking today, I'd like to send your way some positive energy, some great vibrations, and all the best wishes in the universe coming at you. Living in these bodies that we live in, on this crowded planet, just seemingly spinning aimlessly through space. There's a lot of different people we have on this earth. We have some people which are very closed-minded. We have some people that have opened their minds. And we have some people which really don't have a choice to whether their minds are open or closed. These people are highly sensitive individuals, and they're often referred to as empaths. And an empath is somebody that feels empathy to higher levels than most people do around them. Now, empathy is a good thing. When you see somebody hurting, in pain or suffering, you run over and you want to comfort them. But when someone's a high-level empath, the feelings and emotions of other people around them seriously affect them. At times, they almost don't have a choice on separating their own feelings from the feelings of those around them. So these high-level empaths, the environment in which they live in, their daily activities, has a huge effect on who they are and a huge effect on their well-being. And you can usually tell if you're an empath if you're somebody that really enjoys seeking solitude. When you're in large groups, if it just becomes overwhelming, too many thoughts, too many inputs, just too much stuff, too much clutter, and you prefer to be alone, somewhere quiet, then there's a good chance, a high likelihood that you are empathic. And when these empaths reach these higher levels, a lot of abilities, almost superpowers, can come with this. I've felt this way myself in my life, where I can tell when someone's lying or someone's telling the truth. I just have a strong intuition, a strong sense. And this is one of the gifts of being an empath. Unfortunately, empaths are very affected by their surrounding areas. So if you live in an area of hostility, a war zone, if you live in a city, crowded area, amongst a downtrodden populace that's angry and hurtful, if you're around these negative energies, unfortunately, they start to creep into your mindset. You start to absorb the energies of everything around you. It's very hard for empaths to be in hostile environments. An empath surrounded by hostility begins to absorb all this negativity. And in my own life, when I was a child and going through an extremely turbulent childhood, constantly in motion, parents fighting, moving from place to place, no stability, I began to absorb this negative energy, all these negative thoughts. And then you get in around other groups of people that have negative mindset, violent, evil people. One of the worst combinations is if you have someone who's a sociopath or a psychopath. They have literally no empathetic feelings. And then you get a person that's an empath around somebody that's a psychopath, and you have prime ingredients for codependency and one of the worst relationship disproportionate measures of power. You have somebody with no feelings that doesn't care, and you have somebody that's absorbing all this negative hatred and energy. And there's been times in my life where I've been around people that were either psychopathic or very close. And I began to take on characteristics of this negativity. If you're an empath or a person that's extremely sensitive and you find yourself in a hostile situation around hostile people, you must remove yourself from that area. You don't have to tell the people around you that are causing you distress that you plan on leaving, but in the back of your mind, have a conscious decision that I'm going to move away from this area. I'm going to find contentment. Because hostilities and negativities will begin to creep into your psyche until you start taking on these negative characteristics. You see, empaths, when they're around hostility and negativity, usually one of two things happens. They either absorb all this negative energy and turn it inward, in which case they become severely depressed. You'll see the empathic individuals sleeping more, not wanting to socialize, not wanting to talk to friends they normally talk to. All they'll want to do is basically go on their phones, stream shows on the internet, and sleep. They'll fall into basically a deep depression. This is when all these hostilities come in and overwhelm them. They're bombarded by negativity, and the only way they feel they can escape it is to completely shut down. That's one way that empaths deal with hostile environments and constant bombardment of negativity. The second way is more extreme. And as I grew up, for years I deal with negativity, and what happened was I started to lash out. Empaths will build up all this negative energy until they just explode. And for years I was around hostile groups, negative environments. I went into competitive fighting, and I trained and used this energy to be an excellent, great contact, full contact fighter. And when I would fight against somebody with a negative mindset, I would basically take that energy and redirect it back to them. So the more angry somebody got to me, the more I would become enraged. I would just keep leveling up, more angry and more angry and more angry. It's like a vicious cycle. And empaths around these environments can completely explode. They can take all this negative energy and just lash out in the most aggressive magnitudes that's almost incomprehensible. So the key is to separate yourself from these negative people. And if possible, to move away from these negative environments. Rejuvenation and mental clarity can come from being out in nature, walking on the beach. And if you live in a crowded city and you can't get to the beach and you can't get to nature, find a spot on a building that overlooks a city at night when there's nobody else up there with you. A quiet rooftop where you can just see the city lights sparkling and no one is around you. This is where you can recharge and refocus. Let the moonlight soak into your skin. Let all these negative concepts drift back to the people they belong to. Because most empaths are usually genuinely very concerned, caring people. And they care so much that they absorb the energies of these people with horrible, bad intentions. So you have to cut out these negative people. It doesn't matter if you've known them your whole life. It doesn't matter if it's a family member. If somebody is intentionally hurting you, physically, emotionally, mentally, you must cut them out. And if your circumstances, you can't get away from them immediately, don't tell this person you plan on leaving. In the back of your mind, tell yourself, as soon as I'm capable, as soon as I have the financial means, as soon as I have an opportunity, I'm getting away from these harmful people. Put that thought in the back of your mind, and with that thought in your mind, someday it'll become reality. Someday you'll look back and say, I finally got away from there. I escaped. And when you escape from the negativity and these hostile sources around you, empaths can be some of the greatest people on the planet. They have the ability to heal other people. They have the ability to truly listen to when somebody else is hurting. They stand up for things that most people just overlook and consider insignificant. Empaths are some of the main people that stand up for animals. They actually care about all life forms. They actually understand that the life force, the energy within us, is the same energy within these animals that have been entrapped in food enslavement. 1.7 billion animals killed on this planet every single year. And you don't think there's going to be a negative planetary consequence of taking all these life forms out of existence? And as someone myself who's very sensitive and empathetic, I sense the animals' pain and suffering. And on a global scale, look what's happened. The virus, the coronavirus. The coronavirus came directly from animal exploitation. And animal exploitation has caused most of the influenzas and viruses in human history. The avian bird flu, the swine flu, All of these things came from exploiting animals. And our planet is looking to create vaccines to cure an individual virus. Well, the same conditions exist which created these viruses. All these little pigs that are crying out in pain, all these cows, these baby calves, all these chickens and peeps which are enslaved in these little containers and these crates in these farms and this animal agriculture, they're still the identical conditions which created the virus existing on our planet. And all of these creatures are screaming out in pain and misery. And the empaths sense that. And one of the first things they do to better yourself, to feel better, to have more mental clarity, is to remove all animal products from your diet. And research it and do it the proper way. You don't want to do one of these crash diets where you just eat certain types of fruits and vegetables and you don't get all the nutrients you need. Make sure you get your B12s, your omega-3s. They have vegan omega-3 pills you can take. And as you do this, you'll begin to level up. You'll begin just to feel amazing. You'll feel better than you've ever felt in your life. And especially if you're an empath, you'll break away from the suffering. You're no longer connecting yourself to suffering of any other life forms on this planet. So the best thing you can do is remove yourself from any hostile situations. Any negative people in your life, completely remove them. No matter what your relationships, connection, family members, it doesn't matter. If they're intentionally hurting you, they have to go for your well-being. Hostile environments, unfortunately, exist all around this planet. But beautiful paradises, gardens, forests, oceans, quiet spots on buildings, these actually exist on our planet as well. And these are the places you have to seek out. These are the environments you have to go to, so your mind becomes more clear, so your life becomes better, so you begin to slowly walk on an elevated path towards a better existence. I hope you're doing amazing out there in this life. I hope every day is better than the previous day. And once again, I'd like to send you some good energy, some positive vibration, and all the best wishes in the universe.